Yeah, so let's get jumped in here. So today we want to cover some hidden gems. EthosCE is super robust, and to be honest, as I kind of alluded to in the roadmap, sometimes a little bit overwhelming to use as well because it is so robust. There's a lot of feature sets that a lot of our customers, when Nathan and I are on conversations, realize they don't know much about, or maybe they know the term, but they don't really know how to apply that to their challenges. And so today, I will tell you, and again, being that it's my third presentation, we definitely leaned into the videos, but we also leaned into that purposefully because we've actually found a couple customer examples. They've recorded ways in which they're using these underutilized features. And then as well as some of our other demo videos, because it's hard to just kind of speak at you here, show you these without an application. So everything we're going to give you today is an application. And I know if some of you were in the last session with Raja, he did touch on some of these as well. So thank you for teeing us up, Raja. That was a great introduction. And you'll probably hear some more about some of these in the later sessions today. So let's go ahead and go into, so what are we considering hidden gems? So again, hidden gems are features that we oftentimes hear customers are not utilizing. They're usually kind of specific use cases, a lot of them. So again, not all might resonate with the challenges that you're facing, but hopefully you'll find at least one item here that you didn't really know enough about, and you can find a way that that might be useful to you.
Okay, so then I'll take back control here, and we're going to get started talking about hidden gem add-ons. So like Jen kind of teed up just there, these are add-ons that many people, many Ethos customers don't know about, and we think that they could be useful for you. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in and get started talking about EthosCE's Agenda Builder. So this is a tool that goes by many names. You may hear it as Agenda Builder, you may hear it as Agenda Lab, and I think internally in the admin menu it might be Credit Helper.
Yeah, and let me just say, as you've heard a lot about this whole product, the naming of products is becoming, and feature sets is obviously of a lot more importance. So while Nathan and I can't take the credit or blame, so to speak, on multiple names, you can see moving forward that there will be more streamlined, consistent naming.
Yes, for sure. So back onto Agenda Lab here. The Agenda Lab Program Builder is a really cool feature in EthosCE. That's a great tool for administrators to create and manage some detailed programs for if you're hosting a conference out of EthosCE. So you can kind of see here in the screenshot on the Program tab on the course, there are 3 clickable dates, July 4th, July 5th, and July 6th. Underneath each of those dates, there are morning session, afternoon session, and closing session. With some information about the presentation title, the presentation speaker, and also the presentation time. So the Agenda Lab is an external tool outside of EthosCE that allows you to actually create and build these programs, and then generates code that you can copy and paste into the Program tab in Ethos to populate those sessions automatically. So this feature is really great because it streamlines the process of creating and organizing the course content for you and for your learners. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump on in here with a quick video demo from Amanda Weber, our sales engineer, on how the Agenda Builder works.
Hello, this is Amanda Weber with Cadmium, and this short demo video will be going over the EthosCE feature for the Agenda Builder. Some background on this functionality. This works really well for when you're creating a program or event going over the course of multiple days. So in this case, I have a training course that's a 3-day event in the system. And typically there's a program tab along with all of the other tabs of information that outline or show to the learner what is actually going to be happening during this time frame. So you could build this out just in a typical table format. But let's just say we want it to be a little more intuitive. I've built out a course already that shows a program exactly how I want it to appear. So the learner can actually navigate to different days and also see different presentations within specific session times. This might also indicate different credits that are offered for each of the presentations. So we can use this for calculating credits later on if I know which sessions I want to select or presentations I want to select. It's going to give me an idea of how many credits I'm going to earn over that 3-day period. So jumping back over to my course that I'm building here in the program, we're going to navigate to the Agenda tab. So the Agenda tab will typically have your SAML information that in the past we used to have to add this manually, but the new feature allows you to be able to launch this Agenda Lab functionality. So what's cool about this tool is it has a single sign-on into this program generation tool. And we obviously have a lot of step-by-step instructions and documentation on how to utilize this tool and system. But it's actually really intuitive and very simple. So if I wanted to add my own program, you can see it actually keeps track of previous programs that I've created. So I can utilize those as a template and continue to edit it or delete that if I've used this for other courses. In this case, I can create a new program. So I want to label this, my new training course. And then from there, I just simply need to choose the program start and end date. So once I've created that program, I'm just going to go ahead and make edits to this existing program here. And as you can see, this has the different program days, sessions, and child presentations already built out. So let's just say I want to add a new session or to day 3 of this program. I can simply add this new session here, and maybe I want to label this the morning session 1, and this is going to be the 23rd. We'll make it 9 a.m. to, we'll make this 10:30. So once I save that session, you can see where it's already previewing where that shows in the schedule. So I can save that and then move on to create a new session, or maybe I want to add a presentation within this program. So here I'm going to have presentation 1. I can add a presenter if I want to, and I can also add different credit types. Maybe I want this to be a 3-credit presentation. I can also add, additional credits to that as well. So I'll go ahead and save this presentation here. Let me just add a presenter real quick. And I can have the option of adding another presentation. Maybe I want to add this as presentation 2 and add a different presenter from my existing list. And then again, this might also be for that same credit type. You can also pull from the current credits, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. So from here, I can review the program. As I scroll down, you can see I have that morning session I just created, and then also the 2 presentations with those credit types. And it doesn't look like it saved that credit type, so I'm just going to roll down and add that real quick here. And then also going to edit this session because it didn't save my 9 a.m. selection here. So we'll save that. So as you can see, it's really easy to start building out this program day by day and kind of build out your template with different sessions, concurrent series here, and then adding, of course, the course credits along with that. Once I've done this, it'll actually save as I build. So I can always go back to my programs here or just copy this to the clipboard from this page. So if I jump back to programs, you'll see here, again, if I go back into edit, all of my changes have been saved for that new session on that new day. And let's just say I'm ready to publish this. I can copy this program information to the clipboard and plug in. That's going to save all the SAML information that's behind the coding and scenes on this tool. And I can jump back over into this area here, and I'm just going to replace or plug in all of this SAML here. So that's actually going to be able to put in the SAML language where I don't have to build that from scratch anymore. I can just copy that over from that Agenda Lab tool. So this allows me to then save and continue and see that updated change on this session. If you have any questions about utilizing this tool, or if this is something that you want to implement into the system, feel free to reach out to our sales team and we would be happy to answer any additional questions you might have. Thanks for listening.
One thing, Nathan, I want to add to this comment or this topic here is obviously this tool is meant to extend your use of EthosCE for those sort of smaller sets of conferences. Many of you in this room might also be utilizing our EventScribe suite of products, as you just heard the new name this morning, or maybe considering it. And if you attended Megan's session just a few moments ago, she mentioned one of the things that we're working on is a schedule widget. And a schedule widget would then allow you to do all of your schedule creation in those EventScribe tools and copy that into any website, including, and most importantly, EthosCE and our other LMS here. So, this tool is meant for those that are not utilizing those event technology suite of offerings that we have, and kind of a stopgap for, maybe you're running a smaller multi-day session. You want them to use EthosCE to claim credits, and you want them to have just a supporting website to show the entire agenda.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Jen. So just as a recap on this one, the Agenda Lab tool is an external tool outside of EthosCE that allows you to build a fairly complex agenda and then generates code that you can copy and paste into the Agenda tab in EthosCE and have a much more interactive Program tab. So now that we've seen that video demo and sort of how it works, why you would use it, let's talk a little bit about how it may apply to some of you in your jobs. So on these use cases here, the first one we have is a conference organizer. So as a conference organizer, I need to create a detailed agenda for our multi-day event that ensures that all sessions and presentations are organized so that attendees have a seamless experience. And then as an accreditation specialist, I need to customize program agendas to meet specific accreditation requirements, including displaying credit types and amounts for each session to ensure compliance. So on that note, we're going to move on over to basically the second half of the Agenda Lab coin here, which is the credit calculator. So the credit calculator course object, or is a course object that helps learners to accurately claim credits for any sessions that they attended. So it integrates with the Agenda Lab tool to import those agendas, and then the learners will be able to select in the course which sessions they attended, and it'll automatically calculate and award the correct amount of credits for those sessions. So with that, I've got another video demo here. This one a little shorter, just displaying how the credit calculator course object works.
Hello, this is Amanda with Cadmium, and this short demo video will be going over the EthosCE feature for the learner's credit calculator. So you may have already been familiar with our agenda and program builder tool, but just as a refresher, because these two come hand in hand, we have built out our program here. This is for a multi-day program or course or event. And you can see where we can go through our session we built through here. And this was obviously through that agenda builder tool that we had created through the Agenda Lab previously and added that SAML language here. And we're showing that agenda to be generated by the credit calculator on this activity. So administratively, the next step that we will need to do for the learners to be able to utilize the credit calculator is to go into the course outline. And in this case, we want to select a new object and add in the credit calculator. When I click Add Object, that will add that into the outline. So we'll go ahead and just date that. And of course, that bumps that to the bottom of the list. We actually want this prior to their credit and their certificate, maybe even prior to their quiz. So we're going to add that, maybe at the top here. So that allows us to be able to, just see what that's going to look like. So we're going to save the outline there. And you can see where the course has now been updated with that new object. So from the learner's perspective now, when they go in to take the course, they will now see that course outline with that credit calculator tool. I can start the course, jump straight into that credit calculator feature. So this now loads the same agenda that we had built into the course, and the learner then can proceed on making selections with their credit selections. And you can see where it starts being able to build out the total number of credits that they would acquire when they attend those sessions. So kind of a handy tool. They can, build that against the total number of credits offered with the course. So that would be jumping back to the course overview, all of the available credit there. So they could see the maximum amount that they could acquire with taking that course. So kind of a handy tool to have for the learners, again, to self-pace and kind of manage their own agenda, and just be super helpful so they can come in prepared for the event and know what that's going to look like with that credit calculation piece. If you have any questions about this or interest, feel free to reach out to our sales team, and we would be happy to discuss more of it with you. Thank you so much for watching.
All right. So just as a recap on that video here, learners will be able to select which sessions they attended, and based on the configuration from the Agenda Lab on the previous screen, it'll automatically calculate and award the correct amount of credits. So yeah, like Amanda said, a very cool little tool, and we consider it to be an underutilized feature. So again, moving that on to how do you apply this in your job? So let's say in this case we're a conference attendee. As a conference attendee, I need to easily track and report the credits I've earned during the event so that I can provide proof of my continuing education to my professional board. And then as a CME manager, I want to make sure that all the attendees at the medical conference receive the correct credits for the sessions they attended. So those were the hidden gem features that we wanted to discuss. Now we're going to hop on over to what we consider underutilized features. So hidden gems are features you may not have heard of. Underutilized features are features you've probably heard of, but may not actually use. So the first one we wanted to discuss here was learning groups. Just a quick show of hands, how many Ethos customers in here use learning groups? 2, 3, okay. So yeah, I think that kind of proves our point.
Point proven.
So a learning group is a collaborative space that helps facilitate group-based learning and interaction. You can use it to sort of silo out your content into specific personas for who it might apply. And it can organize learners by interests, specialties, or specific courses, allowing for more targeted discussions and networking. So by leveraging learning groups, educators can enhance engagement and provide a more personalized learning experience. So with that one, we have a sort of combination demo and also use case of learning groups from our friend Valerie over at Parkinson's Foundation. So I'll go ahead and tee off this video here.
Hello, my name is Valerie Genzano, and I am the Senior Manager of Professional Education Systems at the Parkinson's Foundation. You might know me as my previous life. I was the software trainer for EthosCE. I'm here to talk to you today about how we use the add-on for learning groups at Parkinson's Foundation Learning Lab, which is a little different than how people might think of using them right off the bat. So I'm going to share my screen and show you our learning lab. So this is the Parkinson's Foundation Learning Lab. It is full to the brim now with courses that we love and that our professionals take and our community members and volunteers take. We use learning groups as a way to separate our chunks of courses, right? So we have what we call education hubs. We have the professional education hub, the community education hub, volunteer education hub, and Formación en Español, which is our Spanish education hub, which is brand new and we're very excited about. So this is how we're using our learning groups. These learning groups are public. They are configured to be sort of landing pages for all these courses. And it allows us to separate that data on the back end when we're looking to just collect information about our professional courses, just collect information about our community courses, so on and so forth. So I'm going to bring you into our Professional Education Hub, which again is a learning group. It's a public-facing learning group. It has, you can see like the features up top on the side here. We've removed the sidebar with our CSS. And this, again, just kind of functions as a landing page for all of our healthcare professionals. Our healthcare professionals know if there's a new course, they can go to this hub and it'll show up. Here's our little information. You could always go over to the professional education specific catalog, which we create using course catalog tags or course categories rather. We have all of this just posted in with images and GIFs and CSS. We have a couple different series which are built either using parent-child relationships or just individual courses. And as you scroll down, you could see any courses that were created within that learning group. So on that sort of like published section under learning groups, these all have the Professional Ed Hub tag. These courses will always show up here in our most recent courses. We also allow our learners to search within these courses by tags like discipline and credit. And then you can go always to our full course catalog outside of this space. But if I were to, for instance, want to say, look at the professional education courses, I could click on that and it brings us to a course catalog with our course field category selected as professional education course catalog. We have this, like I said, for community and volunteer, and we've also newly established this for our Spanish language courses, which right now there's one up there. There's going to be a second one up at the end of the year, which we're very excited about. And this learning group slash education hub is completely in Spanish. So while Ethos doesn't currently have like a language switcher, we're doing what we can to allow our Spanish speakers to navigate it. So if they know that they're looking for an education hub, it's here, but we also have an Espanol button that goes directly to this page as well on the main menu. This is our professional education Spanish courses. We have our one Spanish language course here. Again, it's not foolproof. There are some internal strings within Ethos that we cannot change without changing on the whole site, which is totally understandable, but we have sort of worked around it. For instance, the sign up, the registration, we make sure that we give them the opportunity to use the Google Chrome language switcher or allow them to download the translated version of the registration so they can go in and just sort of match it up. So this is really exciting. This is another use for a learning group, sort of this hub that separates this out. And when we talk about pulling that data on the back end, we're able to take that data just, from the learning groups, so the professional education courses, and create dashboards. We use an external dashboard system called Tableau. We download that data from the learning group and are able to pull together just a professional education dashboard to keep an eye on our amazing learners in our professional education space. So I'll pull that up really quickly just to show you. This was built out by me, Prof Ed Learning Lab data. Nothing in here is proprietary, so it's not giving you too much information, but you can see we could pull, this is a little separate, we pull our course completion separately, but most of this is just from the Learning Lab professional ed data that we're pulling separately because of our learning groups. So this is how we use our learning groups. Like I said, sort of separate out our courses, separate out our learners' opportunities. Obviously, learners can take courses across multiple learning groups. As always, they can go into their profile and choose, if they want to go back to the volunteer learning group, they can click it from their profile or they can click it from here. And it's just sort of like a good way to centralize all of their opportunities. But if I'm a professional and I say, oh, I actually want to know, I'm a professional, but like my dad's got Parkinson's, I can then go into the community education hub and take the care partner program, or I can go into the volunteer education hub and take the research advocacy course. So it's a way to group up our courses without keeping them too siloed from the other ones. keeping those opportunities open and giving learners their best opportunity to learn. So other than that, the configuration, as I said, really straightforward, just a public learning group. The CSS to remove the sidebar, I believe is on the community, but if not, I can absolutely post it there. Just makes it a little smoother looking. People don't need to see that, like the list on the sidebar for groups and calendar and stuff like that if we're not going to use it. But we use custom URLs for it in that publish section on the bottom. We just do / and whatever the hub name is. Other than that, that's about it. So thanks for letting me show off our learning groups. If you have any questions about how we use them or how we have them set up, you can always feel free to email me. My email is vgenzano@parkinson.org. I'm also on the community, so if you see me, you could feel free to clock my email there. But yeah, so thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, let me know. Bye.
All right.
Thanks, Valerie.
So just a recap on this one, learning groups are a very flexible tool. In particular, Parkinson's Foundation uses it to silo out their content with other like content and make it easier for their learners to find content that's applicable to them. Learning groups are really cool because they can have custom URLs to look like their own site. They can have their own branding. They're a very flexible and very powerful tool that we definitely think everyone should know about.
And Nathan, I'm glad we asked Valerie. We love Valerie, clearly. But I'm glad we asked Valerie because I feel like most of the time I hear learning groups used in the private setting. It's a very restricted set of users and the content. And obviously you can think of probably lots of use cases for that. This one's really unique because it's kind of building a little bit of a community around a certain subject matter, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and with that, I'll turn it back to Jen to discuss the conference harvester integration.
All right, great. Thanks, Nathan. So we do have a sort of first take on a integration to bring in content that you collect in the education harvester, which is, of course, part of our VenScribe suite of products, which is a task-based system to collect details about a presentation, a session, an activity, whatever term you might want to use, descriptions, course objectives, speaker information. This obviously is one, I say this is the first take because as you've heard in all of the sessions that we've been making a lot of strides towards centralizing our data. So as we continue to do that and normalize it, we will continue to enhance this because I want to share this hidden gem because it does save a lot of time, but it absolutely does not do everything. I know we want all of the content that's in our education harvester to be in our LMSs, and it's not there yet, and we'd love to hear your feedback. But what is really cool is, the reality is it the way it is right now reduces a lot of time if you're trying to sell or monetize conference recordings into EthosCE. So it's a one-time integration setup, which just involves storing an API key, super easy. And then you can select your event out of the harvester, so your conference that you're having, and then select the individual sessions or presentations within there that you want to import. From there, it's going to import the session title, the description, any course objectives. It does not bring over faculty into the faculty management system, which is probably number one feedback I do hear about this. So your voice has been heard and we are working towards that. But it will at least put the speaker's name and all of that into the course itself. So again, it's a starting point. So really cool if you haven't tried this, give it a try, give us feedback. I already have some ideas for it that I have kind of been mulling around in the backlog. So again, you'll see this become easier and more seamless over the course of time. But I want to call this out because we do have a lot of customers that are using that don't even know this exists. So give it a try and give us some feedback here. So again, just applications here. So I want to efficiently convert all of my content from a conference that I am using the EthosCE suite of technology. I want to bring the course information, the descriptions, the titles. I can actually also bring content. So if you're using the Harvester Task Manager to collect presentation slides or videos, or you're using our live streaming tool and recording, all of that content will be imported into EthosCE. And then, of course, as a learner, I want to access the enduring content from a conference via my LMS. And yeah, pretty straightforward. All right, we're also going to shamelessly plug Gina in the back. I think one of the questions I had in the roadmap, which what is the one tool that I find the most powerful? So being that I work on both LMS products, no one is ever happy with the reports that they can get. There is always something that they want in a different format, or wouldn't it be better if we could slice and dice it this way? And Ethos Self-Service Analytics does allow you to do that. Again, having come on in 18 months, I am now considered one of the experts of the EthosCE analytics. So I'm constantly in there tweaking both core reports and making customer-specific reports. So it's definitely something if you haven't explored what the power that it has. But just to summarize it, because Gina is going to have a hands-on session and give you some of the really tricks of the trade here. But just to summarize it, essentially our entire database, well, not entirely, there are small elements where it's not, but the meat and potatoes, the courses, the enrollments, the learners or users, the credit earnings, all of that, those database tables are built into our analytics tool. And we've made different logical mappings to relate those database tables in a way that makes sense to a user. And you can build your own reports, schedule your own reports, build dashboards. It's really, really cool, and I've seen a lot of different use cases for it. If you have any, please type them in the Q&A, and we can maybe share them internally in this conversation. I'm sure there will be a lot more chatter in Gina's session. I think it's at 3 today. So if you can join, please join that as well.
Yeah, and then just to add on to that, EthosCE Analytics and self-service analytics are one of the things that we're constantly improving. I mean, in the last 6 months, I think we've added quite a few new features there. So we recognize the value of this 100%, and we're here to make it easier for you to do your
Right,
jobs.
and let me just add one more thing. I didn't make this really entirely clear. So there are obviously canned reports that come with EthosCE that are sort of based off the Ethos framework. Then many of the reports in your dashboard that are core offerings are based off of the same Ethos self-service analytics framework. But what I'm really talking about here is giving you the keys to the kingdom to make your own reports in the way that you want them, schedule them, give access to the right people. So that's there's kind of 3 phases to how we do reporting. We are continuing to enhance reports and make core offerings, but it's impossible to know all the different ways you want to slice and dice your data and why you need it in a certain way and who you need to give it to. And so this extends the life of what we build in a core report. And here's more information about Gina and a lovely headshot. That's a really good picture. Did you get that yesterday? Did anyone get a headshot yesterday, and were they happy? I want to hear. Yes? No? I know I'm never happy with my picture. I didn't get one, though, intentionally because of that reason. So I think with that, we are ready to take some questions.
We do have quite a few.
Ooh.
So let's get to it. All right, first up, will the agenda builder video that you played be available for us to share with staff?
So I should know this. I'm not sure the format of the slides in the app. I'll check after this. If it's not in a slide format where you can get the video, which I'm seeing people in the back say, no, it is not. Thank you. You guys are the best. Then we can definitely make that available. Maybe what we'll do is maybe post like a little recap to the community with some of these links. That might be the easiest thing. But if you need it earlier, feel free to email one of us.
Is there a separate cost to Agenda Lab, or is access built into EthosCE?
There is not a separate cost to Agenda Lab. The access is, so this is one of the areas, again, I highlighted that I find very frustrating, and I hear you all the time. We are starting to bring more access to you all. So if you do not have access, let us know, and we can get you hooked up on that. Or really, best way is support ticket, because, and then it will get funneled to Nathan and I.
All right. Can we request assistance to set up a course using the Agenda Builder and Credit Calculator? I've tried using them in the past, but it has not worked successfully, and I'm sure this is just user error.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to help.
All right. Are learning groups only available at an additional cost?
We are in the process of kind of looking at all of that information. I think in the past they definitely have, but let's talk to our account managers and have a conversation about that for sure.
Can you explain learning groups versus enrollment groups?
Yeah, sure. Let me just move this back up a little bit. So learning groups are more about course content and grouping together similar course content, where enrollment groups, if I'm remembering correctly, which is another underutilized feature we probably could have covered today if we had a little more time. We do. We do certainly have video demos from Amanda Weber on enrollment groups also, but enrollment groups allow you to designate staff that can manage courses in a group. So it's just a little bit more granular level role control. Yes, we sure do. We'll go ahead and plug Pam and her wonderful self-service on-demand training. And we can send out a link to the training site after this as well. Okay, yes, thank you, Raja.
So a common use case that we hear between learning groups and enrollment groups is the content that's used between the two. Learning groups is dedicated content per learning group. Then you want to use learning groups. So going back with Valerie's example, you have content specific to those personas, the Latin American or the Spanish speakers, and the community education learners. Enrollment groups is repurposing the same content. So say you have Parkinson Foundation has like 10 activities, and you'd like to repurpose that and sell them to like 10 universities who are specifically looking for Parkinson Foundation type content. Then you would use enrollment groups because it's the same content repurposed for a B2B sales example. I think that's usually the differentiator between using one group or the other.
Thank you, Raja.
All right. For the Conference Harvester integration, it is my understanding that you have to build the course shells out in EthosCE first. Is that still the case?
Yes, that is still the case.
Can you have learning groups within a learning group?
That's a great question. I don't think so, but no.
Yeah. I haven't personally seen that, but I would say that's a no. Not something I'd recommend, but if there's a use case for why you're thinking that, let us know. So oftentimes, sorry, I'm not on the mic and we're getting recorded. So oftentimes I feel like when I'm asked a question that's direct like that, but I'm not getting to, we don't know what the root of the challenge is. So if you can share with us what it is, that particular use case, instead of sort of like almost solving it in your head, talk to any of us in the room. Kristen or Gina, Raja obviously has a lot of case-based examples, so he's a great resource. Nathan and I, of course, the community. I'd love to hear more about like why you're thinking that would be the solution, and then we can figure out what the right solution is. And the reality is we may not have one, but let's talk and we'll discuss about how we could build something like that. Or we do have some solutions. It's just not that learning group within a learning group.
All right, well, that was the last question in the app, unless anybody else has another question. All right, well, thank you, Jen and Nathan, so much. You want to?
Yeah, and then just one last note, like I've said before, if you have any interest in trying any of these add-ons, please feel free to reach out to your account manager and we'll get you sent over some more information.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Thank you.